Welcome to the Today's Soapbox podcast. This episode accompanies the article, Their Trauma is Not Your Entertainment, The Ethics of the True Crime Genre, originally published July 21st, 2025. I will be reading the article as written in the web version with minor adjustments for the audio format. This podcast is sponsored by the Today's Soapbox website, which you can access at todays-soapbox.com. If you want to support the work I am doing there to promote independent journalism, you can find details on the website on how to support with your engagement and money if you are willing. My name is S, and I'm the main writer for Today's Soapbox. True crime content continues to grow on the internet, with creators using every medium from podcasts to books to documentary series and reenactments. The true crime genre focuses on real-life crimes featuring actual victims and perpetrators and the events surrounding the crime. Audiences are drawn to the explanations of the investigation and the mystery surrounding the crime, and discussing details and theories with other online sleuths and interested parties. Its widespread availability across online platforms can cause audiences to become desensitized to the impact of sensationalized coverage and the ethical questions raised by its distribution. True crime content creators' desire to appeal to their audience often leads to an unequal representation of victims. According to Jillian Gray of the University of Oregon School of Journalism and Communication, because many true crime consumers are white women, a lot of the cases that gain popularity focus on white female victims, particularly those who are deemed innocent. Even white female victims who are not perceived as innocent if they were involved in sex work. This creates a lack of diversity in victim representation, neglecting victims who do not fit that profile, including men, people of color, and sex workers. Covering these cases affects the victims and their loved ones who might come across this content online. In their coverage, creators often expose private and traumatizing details. This violates the privacy and consent of victims and their families by exploiting their trauma and subjecting them to undesired publicity. The online attention can lead to scrutiny and further invasion of their privacy. To remedy the harms caused to victims of crime, Ashton Williams writes for the Journal of Intellectual Property Law that victims should be given the opportunity to consent or not consent to the use of their identities and image while having a way to seek damages if not asked for permission. More progressive approaches, like New Jersey's, extend the right of publicity to widows and beneficiaries to prevent unauthorized use of their loved one's identity. The portrayal of the victim is important to the conclusions drawn by the audience and the actions taken afterwards. In her guest essay for the New York Times, Annie Nickel writes about the kidnapping and murder of her sister, Polly Klaas, and the coverage afterwards. The perception of Polly's innocence and the violence of her death were used to pass harsher sentencing legislation that Nickel now opposes through her work with various podcasts focusing on prevention and rehabilitation. The portrayal of both victims and perpetrators is influential to the public's conclusions about a case. Reenactments, like those seen in popular shows on streaming services, receive criticism for their portrayal of and emphasis on the perpetrators of violent crimes. They often center the killer, portraying them as charismatic, filling in their inner thoughts, and casting conventionally attractive, popular actors who the audience is inclined to like and empathize with. In the case of Netflix's Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, killer Ted Bundy is played by Zac Efron. A romanticized portrayal of a perpetrator, according to Jessica Liu of the Ethics Center, gives them the spotlight over the victim and can also rally support for them. This may lead to petitions calling for their release or harassment of victims. In the case of Bundy, his charisma and looks led to him developing a fan base, some of which would pass his lawyer handwritten notes to deliver to him, according to Al McMahon of ABC News Australia. This negative impact on victims leads to some true crime creators actively producing content more ethically and that is victim-centered. Vice's Nick Thompson interviewed the psychologist behind LA Not So Confidential, a podcast focused on the psychology of killers and reviewing documentaries. The creators are educated and work in the criminal justice field and use this knowledge to navigate ethical dilemmas. Thompson writes, "True crime, when made conscientiously, can be virtuous. It can validate victims, aid families in their search for justice, and help raise wider societal awareness." For those looking to ethically create true crime content, the National Center for Victims of Crime, NCVC, produces media guides to consider the needs of victims and their families in their portrayal. This also includes a guide for ethical true crime consumption. Their guides are made in collaboration with experts, including crime survivors. The NCVC also offers a resource center for victims at victimconnect.org. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in the next episode.